Hey everyone, and welcome! So, today we're going to dive into one of the most important texts in all of spiritual philosophy, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Now, I know when you hear yoga, your mind probably jumps to stretchy pants and flexible poses. But let me tell you, the sutras are playing a completely different ballgame. This is an ancient blueprint for, get this, mastering the human mind. So to really get what Patanjali was talking about, we've got to look past our modern ideas and go straight to the source. To really wrap our heads around this, we need to go way, way back, long before the first yoga studio ever opened. We're talking about a super profound spiritual discipline, a real science of consciousness. This isn't about getting fit, it's about a complete and total inner transformation.
And here it is, the idea that kind of flips everything on its head. We all connect yoga with bending our bodies, right? But Patanjali proposes something way more radical. What if the real endgame isn't about touching your toes at all, but about reaching a state where your mind and emotions are completely, utterly still?
Okay, so what does this ancient guide actually say yoga is? Let's just hit pause on everything we think we know for a second. Patanjali lays out a definition right at the very beginning that's incredibly sharp, super direct, and it basically sets the stage for the entire system.
This right here, this is Sutra 1.2, and it's basically the entire thesis in just 4 little words. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. This is it, the core principle, the mission statement for the whole shebang. But, what do these ancient words actually mean for you and me?
Let's break this down. According to this translation, yoga is the conscious stopping of the vibrational modes of the mento-emotional energy. I know, that's a mouthful. But in simple terms, it's the skill of deliberately silencing that endless chatter in your head. The constant ups and downs of thoughts and feelings that make up our inner world. It's really the practice of total mental restraint.
And yeah, that leads us to the most obvious question, doesn't it? Our mind is who we are, or so we think. So why on earth would the goal be to switch it off? It seems totally backward, but believe me, Patanjali has a very, very clear answer.
So the reason for this pretty extreme practice is to get to the very root of a problem that every single human deals with, suffering. The sutras basically argue that our out-of-control mental state is the direct cause of our pain. And it doesn't just say that, it actually identifies the specific culprits.
Yep. According to the text, there are 5 of them. 5 primary mental and emotional afflictions, or Kleshas, as they're called, that keep us all trapped in this cycle of just feeling, well, not quite right.
This slide really gets to the core of our everyday struggles. Patanjali calls these the agonizing vibrations. So first up is avidya, or ignorance. That's basically when we mistake things that are temporary and unsatisfying for things that will bring us real, lasting happiness. Then you've got asmita, the ego. That's when we over-identify with our job, our body, our online profile. And then come the big two, raga and dvesha, that endless push and pull of wanting the good stuff and hating the bad stuff. And finally, abhinivesha, that deep, gut-level clinging to life and fear of any kind of change. Patanjali says these 5 things, they're the source code for our unhappiness.
Okay, so we've got a problem, these 5 afflictions, and we've got a pretty mind-blowing goal, stopping the mind. But how do we actually do it? Well, Patanjali doesn't just leave us with theory. He lays out this brilliant, practical, step-by-step method called the 8-limbed path. Let's check out how it works. Sutra 2.29 lays it all out. These are the 8 angani, or limbs of the system. Now, don't worry about memorizing the Sanskrit right now. The important thing to get is that this is a progressive path. It's designed to take you from the outside in.
And here's the journey. It all starts with how you act in the world, your ethics, your personal habits. It makes sense, right? You can't have a quiet mind if your life is a mess. Then it moves to the body, with posture or asana. And hey, that's the part we all recognize. But here's the thing, it's not about exercise. It's about training the body to be so perfectly still and comfortable that you can forget about it during meditation. From there, it goes even deeper, mastering your breath, pulling your senses away from distractions, and then finally into the last 3 stages, which are all about these intense states of concentration and meditation, which all lead up to samadhi.
Okay, now this is where the text takes a turn that might really surprise you. According to Patanjali, as you get better and better on this path and you start to gain real mastery over your mind, some, let's say, extraordinary side effects start to pop up. These are known as the Siddhis, or yogic powers.
The whole idea here is that when the mind becomes perfectly still and focused, it stops being a barrier. Instead, it becomes this incredibly refined tool, almost like a lens,
that lets the yogi access information that is normally completely hidden from the rest of us.
And the sutras get super specific here. Chapter 3 actually claims that through a certain kind of focus, a complete restraint on a single object, a yogi can get direct knowledge of the past and future, remember their previous lives, and even know what's going on in someone else's head. Pretty wild, right?
But wait, it doesn't stop there. The kind of knowledge the sutras are talking about, it goes from the deeply personal to the truly cosmic.
This stuff is just astonishing. The text claims that if you apply that same total mental focus on the sun, you gain knowledge of the solar system. If you do it on the pole star, you understand the movement of the stars. I mean, it's presenting this vision of consciousness as a gateway to understanding the entire universe.
Now, as fascinating as these powers are, Patanjali gives a warning. He says they're just byproducts, and they can actually be huge distractions from the real path. So, what is the final, ultimate destination of this whole journey? Well, he is crystal clear about it, and the end goal has a very specific name.
The final state is called Kaivalya. And this definition is so interesting: the absolute isolation of the self from the lower psyche. It's all about completely untangling your true awareness, that silent witness inside, from all the mental and emotional machinery that it usually gets caught up in. And this brings us to one of the biggest, most common misunderstandings about this whole philosophy. So the word yoga itself means to yoke or union. And a lot of people take that to mean merging with everything, becoming one with the universe. But for Patanjali, the goal is actually the opposite. It's not union, it's isolation. Think of it like this. It's less like a drop of water dissolving into the ocean and more like a scientist finally getting the lens of their microscope perfectly clean. The goal isn't to become the microscope, it's to see reality clearly, separate from the instrument you're using.
And that right there is the powerful, mind-bending idea at the very heart of the Yoga Sutras. It asks us to really think about a state of pure being, of totally untangled awareness that's completely independent of the thoughts, feelings, and stories that we normally think of as me. And it leaves us with this huge question to ponder. What does it really mean to be truly free from your own mind?